So it can be a pretty exhaustive, all-consuming thing, Kevin, to lead a trip of this nature, especially when you're looking at bringing so many youth um, on a trip like this. What are ways that other youth leaders can help, and what specific tasks can be delegated to someone else so that the key main leader doesn't become entirely overwhelmed with what they're holding?
Yeah, my mentor in youth ministry used to say, if a youth can do it, a youth should do it, and I feel the same is true for youth advisors. They're there for a reason. They want to be doing youth ministry, and so it's my job to give them that opportunity. So really anything. I mean, and everything, and that means from helping me to create small groups. I mean, when we create small groups, it is not just throwing names in hats. We get requests from the students, and we tell them, I think we ask for about 5 people, and we say, you're going to be with 1 or 2 people we promise you that you've requested. You're also going to be with a couple of people that you didn't request. And every year we sit down, the youth advisor team, and I take into account their opinions, and we think really, really hard about those groupings. And so
You don't
they're
just pick out of a hat, Kevin. I mean, this
no.
isn't a haphazard thing.
So they're really key with that. We actually do 3 different ways of grouping of being a group. One is obviously the large group. The other is small groups or work crews, and we actually do those small groups throughout the year. We also consistent small groups throughout the whole youth year. But on these trips specifically, right, they're typically in work crews. But we also do Emmaus partners, right, from the Road to Emmaus story, and the idea that everybody has a partner. Honestly, when I first started doing that, I felt like they're not going to like it because it's just like awkward to have like only one other person. And they love it. They love Emmaus partners. And so what I find is there are 3 different methods of connection for our youth, and I'll come back to your original question in a second. But there are 3 different ways to connect. One is one-on-one, one is in a small group, and then another is in the large group. So each day we try to have at least an opportunity for each of those things to happen. The small group's easy because everybody, people are in their work group crews all the time. Large group's pretty easy too, but sometimes we'll get to the end of the day and we'll say, oh, we haven't had Emmaus partners yet. So we go ahead and we do that. And we of course prompt them questions. So I went off, I guess, on that tangent a little bit to say, so sometimes it's not a specific task as far as, hey, go do this, or you're in charge. It's that having them weaved into the fabric of all of that, understanding the workings of that, and hey, this Emmaus partner kind of thing isn't working so well. We might need to switch this one out, right? And having them be able to be full partners in that, and is really important. Another thing is we love to drive on our trips. I've done very few flights, and we like to go on trips where we take our time. We go all day Saturday, we crash at a church Saturday night, and we drive the rest of the way Sunday, because those 2 days are like an icebreaker.
Yeah.
Our students love the travel days. And sometimes I drive our youth leaders nuts, because what I do is we stop, and every time we stop, we have van rotations. And so every time they get back in, they're sitting somewhere else. And
Oh my gosh.
so it's a whole ordeal. And so I have the youth advisors help with these van rotations. And then also each van rotation has an activity. So sometimes it's a road trip game. Sometimes they're just icebreaker questions. But especially on the way there, on the way back, we're a little more casual with it. But on the way there, every time we stop, they're moving and they're doing a new game. And there is griping and complaining for the first half of Saturday. But once they get into it, they love it. And at the end of the trip, they're always grateful that we did it, because they say, I got to know everybody on this trip.
Yeah. Which is a hard thing to manage in a larger group like that.
Yeah. So they're involved in every aspect of that. But I also have some detail. So I have somebody who knows the route. Like Steve, he knows he's going to last 3 or 4 trips. Like, he's a map guy, and he'll use GPS, but he's also just like, he knows the route, and he'll talk about it with me, but I just trust him and say, okay, we're going to go this far, and, so somebody have to have somebody like that. Somebody who is for me, it's harder, honestly, if I'm being frank, to think sometimes about all the dietary issues on a trip. So if I can, I love to have a nurse on the trip. Not that that's not always a blessing that I have, but always have to have somebody that is taking into account the dietary restrictions of our students, making sure that we're stopping at places where all that's taken into account. And then everything from, planning our devotions. And then another thing, especially on the rural trips, would be having somebody with some construction knowledge. One year, we really had very few people with construction knowledge. I mean, it was like almost negative construction knowledge, like no construction knowledge. And so I decided this is really not going to work. So it was a retired contractor from our church, and I just asked him. I says, "Can you come?" And he came, and we rented him a car, and he just drove from site to site to site to site. And I mean, it cost us quite a bit of money to do, to rent him the car, to pay his way, all that. But it was completely worth it.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was the most popular guy, because, oh, we need help with this, and and he'd drive on over. So yeah. So lots of places, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some, but all over the place. You certainly need a great team.
Yeah. Thanks.